nunchaku spinning at full speed, swords cutting clean through air, a 3-meter aerial flip that lands without a stumble, dozens of robots moving in perfect synchronization, weapons raised, not a single operator visible anywhere on stage. This aired live to 1 billion people during the Chinese New Year broadcast. Not a film, not a render. Live television. 1 billion viewers watching machines perform kung fu in real time. That is where we begin. 1 year ago, the same company put a robot on the same stage for the same broadcast. It was called the H1. It waved a handkerchief. Slowly, carefully. The robotics world applauded and called it a milestone. That was considered the ceiling. This is the G1. Same company, same stage. 1 year later, an entirely different category of machine. What it did. What you just watched was the world's first fully autonomous humanoid robot cluster kung fu performance. Not remote controlled, not motion captured, not one engineer running 40 units from a console backstage. Each robot making its own decisions in real time, in front of a live audience, on a broadcast reaching 1 billion people simultaneously. The weapons were real. Nunchaku, staffs, swords and katanas gripped and manipulated by machines with dexterous hands engineered specifically for the task. The movements were not simple looping sequences. Table vaulting parkour. A 3-meter aerial flip that cleared the stage and landed clean. A 7.5 rotation air flare spin that would push a trained human athlete. These movements require real-time balance calculation, spatial awareness, and full-body physical coordination at every millisecond of execution. There is no scripted path the robot follows. It is solving the physics of each movement as it happens. Then came drunken boxing. This is the detail that stopped everyone who understood what they were watching. Drunken boxing requires intentional stumbles built into the movement pattern. The robot wobbled, dropped toward the floor, and recovered. Autonomously. No recovery command was issued. The robot decided to get up. That single sequence carries more information about where this technology actually sits than any specification sheet Unitree has ever published. Then the children arrived. A martial arts school sent its students onto the stage to spar alongside the machines. An 11-year-old described the experience as training with senior disciples. Not training with a robot, training with a senior. A child who trains martial arts every day looked at a machine and assigned it a rank above his own. That word choice tells you more about how far this has come than any technical benchmark. How it works. The G1 stands 130 centimeters tall, weighs 35 kilograms, and costs $13,500. It is not a prototype. It is a product on JD.com with a buy button and a shipping date today. The New Year performance was technically significant not because of any single capability, but because of how many ran simultaneously without failure. The dexterous hands were redesigned ahead of this performance specifically for weapon handling. Grip strength and finger articulation were calibrated for objects that shift weight dynamically mid-movement, which is exactly what a staff does during a swing and what nunchaku do at full rotation. The upgraded joints carry the increased torque that aerial flips and high rotation spin sequences demand at peak load. LiDAR runs continuously on each unit, giving every robot real-time spatial awareness of every other robot on stage, the platform edge, the children sparring nearby, and any object entering its range. The element audiences responded to most strongly without fully understanding what they were seeing was the music synchronization. The G1 listens to the music playing in the room and adjusts its movement timing to the beat in real time, not pre-mapped to a fixed audio track rehearsed in advance. Listening and adapting in milliseconds. Across a cluster of dozens of robots, that synchronization happens simultaneously, each unit processing the audio independently and arriving at the same timing decision without being instructed to. The result looks like perfectly rehearsed choreography. What it actually is is distributed real-time decision-making made visible through movement. Every robot in the cluster deciding on its own to be in the same place at the same beat at the same moment. What it signals. The G1 sold out on JD.com during the broadcast, not after the performance ended, during it. People watching a machine execute a backflip with a sword on live national television opened a browser and completed a purchase before the segment was over. This is not a technology demonstration building investor interest in future demand. It is a product that produced immediate consumer buying behavior from inside a 1 billion person live audience. Unitree shipped 5,500 units in 2025. The chief executive has stated publicly that the 2026 target is between 10,000 and 20,000 units. That trajectory does not describe a research operation. It describes a product line scaling toward mass market volume on a consumer electronics timeline. One piece of context most international coverage missed. The G1 performance aired 1 week after DeepSeek released its AI model and forced the global technology industry to reassess what Chinese software development was actually capable of. 2 announcements inside 8 days. 1 in artificial intelligence. 1 in physical robotics. Both choosing the most visible platforms available rather than careful press releases in controlled settings. Both landing in the same week. China is not advancing quietly in a research silo. It is walking onto the biggest stages on Earth and performing in front of the largest audiences available. 1 year ago, it waved a handkerchief and the world called it a milestone. Now it executes a backflip with a sword in front of 1 billion people, recovers from a drunken boxing stumble on its own initiative, spars with children who call it a senior disciple, and sells out on JD.com before the broadcast ends. That is 12 months. 1 product cycle. Nobody in this industry has a confident answer to the question that everything above is pointing at. What does it do next year? Drop your answer in the comments below. And subscribe, because when Unitree takes that next stage, we will be here the same day with exactly what changed and exactly what it means.